Hello, Simon here, Cherrywood podcast. That is my wife Rachel, sexy isn't she? And this is our crap guide to Rome. Welcome to the Cherrywood podcast. It's Simon here.
It's Rachel here.
Please like, share and subscribe.
Hello.
Hello. How are you doing?
He sounded like Mr. Bloom.
Hello. I'm Mr. Bloom. Right, hello everybody. Simon and Rachel here from Cherrywood podcast, as you know. We've just been to Rome thanks to my lovely wife who got me it for my 50th birthday. So we're going to give you a few guides. But before we do, we're going to hit it. We're going to be down with the kids and go straight to our sponsors. So here we go, sponsors.
Today's sponsors are De Medici Associates, chartered structural and civil engineers.
Based in the UK with a worldwide reach.
Visit their website on demediciassociates.com.
This podcast has been brought to you by Snugdubs Camper Van Hire.
Roam the world, park anywhere.
That's snugdubs.co.uk. And thank you, sponsors. We won't bother going into the sign business because I'm bored of it. It didn't fall off last time we had a guest on, so it might be all right. So, okay, let's get on to the structure, Rach. How are we going to talk about this experience?
Okay, so we're going to do why we went to Rome.
Yeah, I like
when
it.
we went to Rome, everything like that. And just an overview on where we stayed.
Tips.
And then we'll go into what we did, and our tips for Rome.
And we're going to try and keep this punchy. Ask a question, give you an answer. Ask a question, give you an answer. Do you know what I mean? Okay, Rach.
What the heck? Have you had too many coffees today or something?
I don't know.
Right, so when did we go to Rome?
We went in November 2024.
Okay. Where did we stay?
We stayed near the Spanish Steps.
Okay, so it's about 10 minutes outside?
10 minutes. No, not even 10 minutes outside of where?
The Spanish Steps.
No, the walk was under 10 minutes to get to the Spanish Steps.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple of blocks away from the Spanish Steps.
Do you remember the name of the hotel?
The hotel was called the Romantica something.
Romantica Luxury Spa Hotel.
And it was nice. It was nice. I don't know how much you paid because it was a gift. I don't want to ask that question.
Why Rome?
I loved the idea of the Coliseum as a kid. Loved it. Loved the sort of, the grandness of it. We went to Tunisia once for my 40th birthday present, actually, and we just stumbled upon a Colosseum there, which blew us away. But I think this one is a third bigger than the Colosseum we stumbled across because we measured it up. We asked ChatGPT, didn't we? And it told us about the measurements.
So you got this as a birthday present, didn't you?
I did. Got it as a birthday present, yeah, and loved 50th. It. Yeah.
Because you'd always wanted to go. So I thought, I need to get that for your birthday. So that's what I did.
You did.
Okay, so the length of our trip, who we went with, and then we'll go into what we did and tips for people that want to go to Rome.
So we left on the Friday. We came back on the Monday evening, didn't we? So we had 3 nights there. The first thing you do when you're going there is you want to have a look. You want to gauge the area. In my head, I thought Rome would be a bit more wide open than a typical Italian sort of place. I don't know why, because I guess I was just looking at ancient Rome more than anything, where it's a bit more spacious. But where we were, the houses, not the houses, all the buildings were close together, obviously to keep the shade in for the summer because it gets bleeding up there in the summer. So it threw me slightly, didn't it? I was like, I wasn't expecting it to be like this. I don't know why I wasn't. I just think it's because every time I think of Rome, I think of a Colosseum with a massive space around it and big roads and things like that. But when we got there, it was close knit, and I was like, oh right, okay, all right. But it wasn't where I was planning on going, if that makes sense. So we got the bus. We had to choose a bus, didn't we?
So it was our let's go back to your first impression. So we've just landed, okay?
Yeah.
What was your first initial impressions of Rome? We've got in.
Do you know what? It reminded me of you can tell America's influenced by Italians because a lot of Americans are Italian. And it reminded me of America. It was as if we had landed in, we was going to Disney in LA or something like that.
Not the city itself.
Not the city, just the driving in, the outskirts. Just felt very, very similar.
And it was very hot for this time of year.
Yeah, 23 degrees midday. That was good.
Yeah. So yeah, the first day we walked around, didn't we, and just got our bearings and sort of unpacked, and I had to try and keep awake, really, didn't we? Because it was we had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get over there. Because my impression was, if we get over there, we've got most of Friday to sightsee, right?
Yeah. So we just got our bearings on the Friday. We sat in a nice cafe, didn't we? And if you like oil and balsamic vinegar and meat and cheese, then it's the place for you, and we do. So it was perfect. Not seafood lovers though, are we?
Not really.
And there was a lot of options for seafood, but there was a load of other options for other things. So let's talk about transportation.
So we've got there.
Yeah.
We don't have, because a lot of city breaks, the company that we went with did offer transfers, but we said we can sort it out ourselves.
Yeah.
So
we Ubered it. And it cost €58.50. €58.50 to get to our hotel, which isn't that bad, about £40. It was about a 45-minute journey to our hotel. And we did exactly the same on the way back. At the airport, they were trying to charge €150, €130, wasn't it?
That
more
was
of a luxury, not waiting around.
Yeah, so
that's for not waiting around for a taxi. I'm sure there are coach trips. I can't tell you if there was any coach trips that,
there was buses.
Yeah,
there was
buses.
sort of buses into the city. There was obviously railways into the city and networks that sort of way, like train networks, everything like that.
Yeah.
If you didn't want to do that and you wanted to get a transfer, you can always book that in advance as well. But if you didn't want to, there are taxis available. You do have to queue for those. There is a queue. The queue, the guy advised us, would take about half an hour. But we Ubered it, as they say. But it's not actually called Uber over there, is it? It's called...
You can use the Uber app, but it links to something else, and I can't remember what...
Taxi or something?
Something like It Taxi, yeah. It Taxi, It Cab, something like that.
And
it linked to the Uber app, so you don't have to worry about installing another app. It worked fine with it. We were rejected on the first attempt, but I just think that's the taxi driver finding a better deal or a better price from,
It even gave you the location, didn't it? We put in, this is where we want to go to our hotel, and it actually said, right, for this Uber or It Taxi, you need to come out of the terminal, go here, and it actually gave you a list of directions to the meeting point, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So it was very good like that.
Yeah, that was fine. So when we got there, let's talk about the buses. I want to talk about the bus tours.
The next day.
The next day. So we booked, there's lots of bus tours. You've seen them all over the world. The red ones, the red sightseeing tours.
Hop on, hop off ones.
Hop on, hop off with headphones. I know I said it wrong. With headphones so you can hear it in any language you want, which is good. The red ones were there, which is called City Sightseeing, I believe. And the one we chose was the pink one, which was just called Sightseeing.
I Love Rome.
I Love Rome, was it called that?
I Love Rome Sightseeing.
It was a pink bus, and there's about 4 or 5 different ones of these buses. But a tip for you, the pink ones start at 8 in the morning. All the others start at 10 or 8:30. 8:30. So the pink ones start at 8:30 in the morning and they finish at 8 p.m.
8:30.
8:30 p.m.
The last drop off is 8:30. So. I'm glad you listened.
But the others start at 10 o'clock. So it's ideal to get the early one, the pink one. We're not being sponsored by them, by the way.
Especially if you wanted to go somewhere that is quite popular, like the Coliseum or the Vatican City or anything like that. They are very good to just jump on, grab a quick breakfast, jump on and be on your way, because in those places it is very, very busy.
How much did it cost us for 2 days?
2 days. So we had a 48-hour pass, and that was literally, we got on it at 9 o'clock, I think, on the Saturday morning, and it was a 48-hour pass. So we could have used it if we'd gotten up early enough on the Monday for a few hours if we wanted to. And I think that was something like €48.
For 2 of us.
For 2 of us.
So €24.
No, 60. Sorry, it was 30. It was 30 euros each. So it was €60 for the 48 hours.
And to be honest, it was well worth it. It was well worth it, because every 10 minutes these buses are turning up, as opposed to once again, it starts earlier, the pink bus, and it's also more frequent. It's every 10 minutes. The others are like 15, 20 minutes. They say there's one called Big Bus, which is meant to be, I imagine, a bit more luxurious. They say the Big Bus is the better one, but I don't know why. But it's nowhere near as frequent, so it's not the better one in my eyes. So if we say we took that bus and we went to the Colosseum, now the Colosseum, everyone advised me to book it beforehand. I should have booked it beforehand. There was a queue, but the queue wasn't that bad on the Saturday, right? So we queued for the Colosseum. It took about an hour and a half to queue, but before we queued, we got taken. In
the queue there was this scout almost, wasn't there?
It's probably full of them, full of these people trying to say, look, I can help you jump the queue. And also you can get a guided tour if you come with us.
Because we could jump the queue because it was a group booking, and he basically was getting as many people as he could in his group to then go into the group section of the Colosseum.
Yeah.
That way you don't have to queue up. But you do still have to queue up. So he gave us a price for this tour that he was offering, but you still have to queue up in the hour and a half queue to give your ID over to get your ticket. So everyone needs an ID. So whether it's a driving license, passport, something with your name, photo and ID on it, you have to give that in and they print your name on the tickets. You would still have to queue up in that queue to get this. So if you are collared by someone like that, I wanted to do it anyway to see what he was actually going to offer. We actually walked away in the end. They spoke fast on purpose, and I said, "You're going to have to slow down if you want me to accept something. Slow down on what it is you're selling me." And you're going to get a sightseeing tour, but it's going to take you the same amount of time, and it's going to cost us €48 each, wasn't it? It was 60 in total.
But not including the ticket to get in.
No, it was 60 together, and then at the ticket office you still had to pay €18 for your ticket.
So in other words, you're just paying to have a tour. You're paying for a tour, and they were selling it as if you were going to get in quicker. We weren't going to get in quicker. As it happens, we started queuing. It took an hour and a half. We had this lovely Spanish couple, old boy in front and his wife in front, where I just kept hugging his wife and we kept having selfies together. And you meet these people when you eventually get in the Colosseum, which is unbelievable, by the way, amazing structure. Like the first brick wall was about 3-4 meters thick. Just to walk through it, it's just unbelievable. But you'll bump into these people that you've seen in the queue, and you're high-fiving each other. You're still taking selfies.
There was one. I think she was American. No, she was European. I think somewhere. Yeah. And she said, "Oh, can you take a photo of me? We were queue buddies."
We were queue buddies. Yeah, didn't speak a word to each other for an hour and a half, but she classed it as queue buddies when she wanted a photo take.
Yeah.
So the Colosseum was amazing. If you want to get onto the floor of the Colosseum, which I imagine that wooden bit, isn't it? They don't actually take you underneath, do they?
There's a lift when we were walking up, because you go in. It is quite easy to get lost there, I think, because you needed a wee, didn't you, when you went in?
Always need a wee.
And the bathrooms are only on the ground floor, literally as you go in. So if you go past those, you can't come back. It's literally a one-way tour, isn't it? So have a wee if you need a wee. But then we had to go back and do that front bit, didn't we? Otherwise we would have gone upstairs. So we had to come back and do the first floor, I would say it was. But there was a lift, and it was giving you a different experience. Now, if you wanted I think they called it the full experience, didn't they? If you wanted the full experience,
pre-book,
which was underground, it said, there was a few other bits to it, you have to pre-book that. So if you want the full experience on that, make sure you book that in advance. Okay. You can't buy those on the day. You can just only buy general admission tickets on the day.
Yeah, so in a nutshell with the Colosseum, pre-book it. That would be the best thing to do. We ignored it from friends. We didn't pre-book because we're pillocks, but on normal days it's going to take you about an hour and a half to queue. What time did we get there? Around 10?
About 9:30,
10 we started, and we got there at 11 to get our ticket, and then we had a time slot for 1, I believe, quarter to 1. 1:45? So we had to wait a little bit for even our time slot to get in. But queuing to get in on your time slot is not an issue at all.
They say turn up 15 minutes before, don't they?
But a couple of tips.
And you do.
A couple of tips. The Coliseum is absolutely free on a Sunday. But, right, our queue on the Saturday was an hour and a half, and it went around a quarter of the Coliseum. All right? A quarter of the Coliseum. So, yeah, not even that. About that. So, Sunday, we were going past because we was going to the Vatican, and you have to go past the Colosseum stop. They had gone all the way around the Colosseum and a quarter of a mile down the road.
Yeah.
That was the queue. That queue must have taken 4 or 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's because it was free.
It was free, yeah.
But that was us leaving for the bus. What time did we get on that bus on the Sunday? Because we were aiming for the Vatican, which is also free on Sunday. So we went past that thinking, oh my goodness, we're never going to get in the Vatican.
Well, we were on the bus at 9, weren't we?
Yeah. So we were never going to get past we thought we were never going to get in the Vatican because of how busy the Colosseum was, and the Vatican also being free. We was like, oh my goodness, let's try it anyway. So we got to the bus stop, and it stops you at the bridge over the river. So you've got to cross the bridge to get to the Vatican, and we walked literally straight into the Vatican with a minor queue, straight in.
There was
straight
two
into
queues, wasn't there?
Yeah, and a 10:30 service. So one queue was for the dome, which seemed to be a very slow.
Because you had to get the lift up.
Yeah, and the other queue was straight into the Vatican. And like I said, when I say straight into the Vatican, I mean straight in to watching a service. Watching a service, a 10:30 service on a Sunday, straight in, and it was absolutely free. And it was amazing. You've got to go to the Vatican as well. But once again, I imagine if we wasn't in there early, well, actually, the queue was building up, wasn't it, when we left the Vatican?
Yeah. I think if you go into St. Peter's Basilica, which is the main Vatican church, that seems to be quite constant because there is no guide. There is no, not structure to it, but once you're in, you can go where you want. When you're done, you go out, don't you?
Now, it's worth saying that we don't think the Pope was there. And if the Pope's there, then it's going to be a whole different ball game, I imagine, with regarding the queue. But my advice is, unless you're really skint, don't go to the Colosseum on a Sunday. But the Vatican on a Sunday, if you're early enough, no problem at all. But
the only downside on the Vatican side of it is on a Sunday, the museum, which is where
Chapel.
where they have all the amazing artwork, that isn't open. So if you want to see that, you would have to do that on a different day.
So the tip is, again, pre-book the Vatican. We didn't, because we're off the hook, aren't we? Right? Yeah? We're off the hook. But we didn't pre-book, but we got to see everything we wanted to see in Rome. Another ideal tour for us. Like I say, the bus is brilliant for teaching you stuff. We went round it again the next day, obviously, to go to the Vatican.
I think we did it 3 times in total, didn't we?
And we were telling each other. So it had obviously gone into us. It had actually locked into the old brain cells because we could remember some bits it had already said to us, which was funny. The other thing is the I Love Rome tour, wasn't it? The I Love Rome multimedia tour.
Yeah.
That was really good. And I suggest that you go to that before you even start walking around the old ancient Rome area, because it will tell you where buildings were. So when you're walking down there, you're like, oh, that's where this one was. That's where this one was.
It's a 3D experience, isn't it? So it shows you.
It's like the Michael Jackson. Now. It's like the Michael Jackson and the Tupac experience. You know, where Tupac, they put Tupac on stage once with Snoop Dogg, and he looked real, like he was on stage, like ABBA tour. It's a mini version of ABBA Voyager. ABBA Voyage. It's a mini version of that where things look 3D.
So you basically
don't wear glasses or anything.
You have the map of today's Rome, and then that dissolves, and it shows you what it's like in Roman times.
Ancient Rome.
So it shows you the Colosseum, what they did there. It shows you different parts of the city and what it was like and how it built up into today, really.
Yeah.
And it was amazing seeing it in 3D and seeing what it was like back in those times, really.
Yeah, because there's obviously with Rome, there's multiple stages of Rome, and they knock stuff down, built other grand things, knocked that down, built other grand. Yeah, fire, everything. So the sad thing about Rome is you wish you could see everything, but that actually is never going to be possible. Half of the buildings they used half of the Colosseum material for, so nothing was ever up in theory at the same time. So all the grand things you know about Rome were different stages in life of Rome. So this exhibition was really good, and it's pointed out where buildings should have been, and
Like the Vatican is actually quite new compared to the Colosseum.
Of course, yeah, Colosseums, yeah. Yeah, very old.
Were there any hidden gems that we liked? Any sort of bits that we go, oh my God, I love that. It wasn't touristy, or it doesn't have to be touristy, but any hidden gems?
We remember, this is November for us, so we're assuming in the summer it's crazy. I liked just walking with you, so we would stop at the Vatican stop, which wasn't near the Vatican.
Yeah, to walk over the bridge, didn't you?
And we'd walk through all the nooks and crannies, through different squares, sit down, have a drink, to have some bread and oil. I liked that. And we were told by the hotel that walking from our hotel, which is just I would say north of the
Spanish
Steps to the Vatican wouldn't be doable. That may be too much for you. It wasn't at all. It wasn't at all. You could walk all of it. You really could walk it all. And I loved it. I loved just the walking around.
And the food and drink? What food and drink experience did you have?
The food and drink experience was good. I wasn't overly hungry. I think that's just because I just didn't fancy anything. And, we were trying to have dinner, weren't we? So we didn't want to overdo it for dinner. Because come dinner, we were just having one course, wasn't we? And one course seems to be enough there as well, doesn't it?
Because it's very carb based, isn't it? It's your pizzas, your pasta, your breads and your oils and stuff.
I must say I had one pizza there and I wasn't that impressed with it, but that's not saying that obviously Italia. It's not saying that Italy isn't great for pizzas. Of course it is. But I just had one pizza there and it was a little bit sloppy in the centre. When a pizza's very runny in the centre and you're cutting the dough and the dough's all soggy. That's what it was like. It was okay.
But on the Sunday, we then went, we did a walk through the city, didn't we, from the Vatican to the Coliseum, and we walked down the main road. And we stopped off because it was about 1:30, nearly 2:00, and we thought we hadn't eaten anything. So we got a drink and we got this meat platter, and it had about 5 different meats on it. It had about 3 different cheeses, olives, bread, vinegar, oil. And that was just enough for us, wasn't it, to share, to sort of fill us up ready for the afternoon's day worth of exploring and everything like that. So, and that was nice. That was a nice sort of, it wasn't even, I wouldn't even call it a snack. It was just sort of like meat and cheese.
I really enjoyed that. That was probably my favourite meal. Just like a platter. And he said, do you want it on one plate? And we both just eat off of that. And it was, I loved that.
And we just literally were picking it, had a drink.
I actually fancy it now. Should we have it after this podcast? I fancy a bit of a platter.
Any challenges or tips, anything that we would do differently?
A lot of people are going to be disappointed by this, but it didn't bother me. And I think it's the whole of 2024. A lot of the fountains were closed and being worked on. There was a lot being worked on. So we were near the Trevi Fountain and that was closed, but they still had a glass barrier around it. It wasn't like it had Aries fencing around it or anything like that. It had a glass barrier. So it was still I actually like the fact it didn't have water in it because you could see a little bit more of the mechanics of it and things like that.
So there was, it seemed to be every tourist attraction that we went or any big structure that they were trying to show off had, I don't know, like you said, if it was because it's November and they're just restoring everything ready for next year's tourist season, but everything had work that was being done to it, like the roundabout with the 4 statues on.
It all seemed to be fountain related.
Yeah, there was roadworks there. At the Colosseum, they were doing work in the corner where we had to queue up. So there was a few...
That's right, because the arch by the Colosseum, there's about 3 famous arches.
That was...
And I know none of the names. I'm terrible for that. But the one next to the Colosseum just had scaffolding all around it.
So there were works going on. There were roadworks and there was a few bits like that going on. But again, like we said, we don't know if this was just a November thing to keep up the infrastructure of the famous buildings and stuff like that, getting ready for the next year. So don't be put off because you can still see everything there as well.
Yeah.
That's a really ugly face.
I'm just trying to disguise a yawn. I'm just really tired for some bizarre reason.
You just went, oh, with one eye.
I'm really hand tired. We haven't long been back though, have we?
Anything that you would change or do differently?
I enjoyed the scooters. We hired a scooter out. Rachel hated the scooter.
No, I didn't
I'm not
hate
sure
it.
if we were legally on the scooter because I made her ride on the back. So we were putting about, I don't know, 22, 23 stone on a scooter. And it was doing all right. It was doing all right. But we did it late at night when there was no one around.
We weren't drunk, by the way.
And I had to scan the QR code. And I've never done it before. I've been on an electric scooter before. Our kids have got one, but this is like a proper electric scooter. And I don't mean moped, I mean stand-on scooter. And it got us back to the hotel. And I wish I'd done that a bit more.
I wish we'd hired out us, well, you said no, didn't you? An actual proper like Vespa scooter and jumped on the back of that and toured there. But
I've had scooters before. They're fine. You've not. And the last place you want to try first time is Italy.
why? It'd be
because
amazing.
they're a bit mental on the road. And saying that though, you know, my visions of Italy and especially Rome is that they're absolutely crazy and it's mobbed. It's not like that anymore. The roads aren't mobbed anymore. I imagine it's similar to London, like a ULEZ type thing going on. All the cars are sort of lower emissions, aren't they? And there are some mopeds there, a lot, but it's not mobbed crazy bibbing going on or anything like that, is there?
No.
It wasn't that bad at all.
But yeah, I think if we had to go back again and do it all again, I would say maybe the scooters or, just hiring a little Vespa scooter and doing that and just doing it in our own time and just seeing it like that, because I think that would have been a cool experience.
But we did keep fit by not having a scooter.
Yes, we did. And we walked everywhere.
It wasn't long before that charged me €7.50 and we wasn't on it for long. What I did is I paid for it, so the timer started going, and then I spent a good 5-10 minutes trying to work out how to get back to the hotel on my maps, on my Google Maps. So I probably wasted about £4 just standing there.
If I say it was horrible, it was funny as well. But we were trying to go down these tiny little cobbled streets on this thing, and we were going, and you had to hold on. I had to hold on you that you couldn't breathe because I was holding on so tight, and your glasses were shaking so much they were going down your nose. You're like, I've got to let go to push my glasses up.
But once we got on tarmac, it was all, and Rome is quite a hilly place. Obviously, it's built. Rome is built on 7 hills. Actually, I knew that. I've worked. It's quite a hilly place. But this thing took us up a hill. You've got to start off with the push, ain't you? Like Tilly's ones. And it took us up a hill. It was going slow and struggling a little bit, but it took us up a cobble road and a steep hill. So
we would have one each. One each next
Definitely
time.
One each. Definitely. I think that's our guide to Rome, unless you've got anything else, Rach.
What was your favourite moment and what are you going to take away from it personally?
Like I say, I've always wanted to see the Colosseum. I actually thought the one in Tunisia was a bit more complete, which I believe it is a bit more complete.
I think it's round, whereas this Colosseum's, I would say 2/3 round, isn't it? The one in Tunisia is round. What
upset me with the Colosseum is the new bits that they built on it. And I know why they did it. They did it to show you exactly how immense it was. But I wish they built the new bits in the same style as the old bits. I can understand why they had to do it. Apparently, I looked at old photos. I said to my phone, show me the earliest photo of the Colosseum. And even then, it's got the repair work on it. That's how old the Colosseum is. And that's how old those repairs are. So, they did what they could.
And you said it had a roof on as well, which I didn't believe.
There's always debate about the style of the roof of the Colosseum, but it had a roof on it.
It was almost like flag material going halfway in and then stopped, I think. So.
There's always debate about it, but it definitely had a roof. It's the old etchings that make me laugh. You could see etchings of the Colosseum and they have filled it up with water, which is why the new Gladiators has got water in it. So,
and they have a boat fight on it.
Yeah, the fountains as well. The fountains and the aqueducts. I think it's just all natural flowing water.
Well, we walked down a few streets and there was these not fountains, they were almost like pipework, wasn't it? Just coming out of the ground and sort of hanging over, and people could help themselves to water and wash their hands and everything like that, because it was just constantly flowing water. So.
And also the baths in Rome, ancient Rome, all free as well. Let anyone wash in the baths of ancient Rome. Yeah, just want to let you know.
So what was your favourite moment? What was that
Coliseum.
one moment?
It's got to be the turning up. You know what it's going to say. When I'm on that bus, we was on the bus. Was we at the front of the bus?
No, we were about 5 rows back, I think.
So
and it was freezing.
Open top bus. We're on an open top bus. We're going down a road, and then this road turns, and up the road is the Colosseum. And I'm like, oh my God, there it is. I've been waiting years to see this. And yeah. Oh. It's like being outside Wembley Stadium, but 2,000 years ago. It's that immense. It's exactly the same design. You can walk around it just like you can Wembley, or another stadium I love is the Sky Dome in Toronto. It's exactly the same.
Walk around it, and then in the middle, it's like the O2. Yeah. Walk around it, in the middle is the arena.
There's different levels. You walk around it, you go up some steps, you walk around it at that level, you walk around it at the level above. It's exactly the same. We're still making the stuff in exactly the same design as that. And that's what blows me away. 2,000 years have passed at least, and we are into the same sort of experience, a round circle with an entertainment of some kind going on in the centre. That's what we're born to like, you see. Well, see what else I liked as well? That Circus Maximus, I don't know if it's called that.
Oh, yes, yeah, just
where they
outside.
did the chariot racing and everything. That is literally a ditch, which they still hold events inside it. There happened to be an aeroplane in it when we went past.
Yeah, there was some
but that built up. If you see the artist's impression of that, or the 3D impression of that held 200,000 people, and there'd be chariot racing. And you can imagine that there as well. There's just so much. It's just history upon history. That's what I loved
it's literally down every street you go, there is a church or a statue or a bit of history, and it's amazing to view. So
don't think you're going to view everything in a long weekend. Don't think you're going to view anything in a month. It would take you there. The sign's falling off. It would take you a year to explore Rome fully. More than that, even. There's just so much, and I loved it. So thank you so much for getting it for me. I don't know if this is going to help you, which is why we called it a crap guide to Rome. But it might be useful. Definitely book stuff beforehand. But I've been on longer Disney queues. I've been on longer Disney ride queues than I did to get the Colosseum. It wasn't that bad.
So if you do forget, or you don't have enough money to book it when you actually book the trip, or you think, I don't want to, let's just see how the trip plans out, it's not the end of the world. If you don't book it, it isn't the end of the world. You can still queue up and get tickets on the day if you need to. But all we would say is just get there early. There is going to be a lot of people. Expect queues, expect people. But everywhere we went, there were people, but we got to do exactly what we wanted to do, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I hope you liked our crappy guide to Rome.
Thank you. See you all later. Please like and subscribe, and give us your experiences of Rome. Any other tips you've got, and we're happy to share them on to anyone else. Okay. Bye, everyone. Bye. Club Awesome, for autistic children and their families, a place where everyone belongs and fun knows no age limit.